Dear fellow truth seekers, thank you and welcome for visiting my channel, MythoReligio. MythoReligio is a series of books about religious comparison studies between the stories in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism and Buddhism, directly from their sacred books and world mythologies, hence the name MythoReligio. The purpose is to retrace the prehistory of humanity, since I am not fully satisfied with either the explanations from the point of view of creationists nor evolutionists. There are so many missing links in both explanations. If you feel the same, then you are on the right channel. In this book series, I will also analyze about the prehistory of humanity from the archaeological records, modern scientific point of view, and other alternative theories, such as the ancient alien theories and Atlantis or Lemuria legends. After thorough research of circa 30 years, I recognize many similarities between all religious stories and even mythologies, and surprisingly, some of them are in accordance or even beyond modern science that have been proven as correct. Thus, I came to the conclusion that all religions must have come from the same source. And all these religious stories and mythologies, although heavily jumbled up, are actually telling one mega story, the true prehistory of our common ancestors. This mega story is quite different than what we have been told to believe and will truly blow your mind, as it is more fascinating than our imagination. If you have watched the earlier videos in this channel, I believe you can see some of the similarities too. If you haven't and you truly want to do a religious comparative study, I suggest that you do so. The best way to do a comprehensive religious study via this channel is by watching the videos starting from number 1 and continue until this present video and so on. That way you will see a clear pattern. For deeper analysis that I cannot share in this platform due to its sensitive nature that leads to the above conclusion, kindly read the books that are available in ebook format that can be found in my website www.mythoreligio.com or the physical books at Amazon in color or black and white version. Dear fellow truth seekers, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm sharing the 9th video of MythoReligio series. This is a replacement video of the original video number 9 concerning the judges of Israel that I had to take down due to copyright issue of the background music. Therefore, this video is not arranged in the proper numbering sequence. Please watch video number 8 before you watch this video concerning the story of Joshua and Moses entering the Holy Land that is promised by God for the Israelites. Now let's go to the story. After the death of Joshua, the Israelites continued the war against the Canaanites. They won several battles. After the Israelites became strong, they put the Canaanites to tribute, but they didn't utterly drive them out. Some of the Israelites let the defeated Canaanites dwell in the lands and became their tributaries. Then God's commandment via an angel came. You shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall throw down their altars. But you have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you. But they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you. Children of Israel repented and made sacrifice unto God. But after that they forsook the God of their fathers. They bowed and served the gods Baal and Ashtaroth. God got angry against Israel and sent them into the hands of spoilers, and made them no longer victorious against their enemies. Nevertheless, God raised judges who could deliver them out of the hands of those spoilers. However, the Israelites did not listen to the judges and continued whoring after other gods. From then on, Israel was led by the judges of Israel. These judges were not like judges today. They did have judicial power like today's judges, but they were also the leaders of Israel's army. There are 12 judges named in the book of Judges. The following comparison study will focus on the stories of the most significant judges. Deborah. Prophetess Deborah was the only female judge of Israel. When she became a judge, the Israelites did evil again. God sold them to the hand of the Canaanites. The Canaanite captain was called Sisera, and they oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. The Israelites prevailed against the Canaanites, but Sisera managed to run into the tent of Jael, the wife of a man from the tribe of Jethro, Moses' father-in-law. Jael pretended to help him, giving him milk and a blanket. After Sisera fell asleep, Jael took a hammer and smote a nail to his temple and killed him. Since then, Jael was blessed above all the women in the tent. Jephtah. Jephtah made an oath with God before a battle with the Ammonites, descendants of Lot. If God led Jephtah to victory, then Jephtah would sacrifice whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph, as an offering to God. When Jephtah returned home, the first person to greet him was his daughter, and Jephtah kept his oath. Samson was the 12th judge of Israel. During Samson's era, the Israelites did evil again in the sight of God, and God delivered them to the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. Note, the Philistines were people who occupied the southern coast of Canaan. Their origin is still a matter of debate among scholars. The Philistines were also known as the Sea People. They were descendants of African Ham via Egypt. Book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse 13. Samson's mother was barren for a long time. Then an angel appeared and told her she would bear a son, under the condition that she did not drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean things. The soon-to-be-born son's hair should never be shaven, for he was to become a Nazirite, meaning consecrated to God, and would one day deliver Israel out of the hands of the Philistines. Samson grew up to be a man of tremendous strength. He was so strong that he could kill a lion by himself. Samson fell in love with 2 different Philistine women, and both times he was cheated. When he was supposed to get married to the first woman, the woman's father gave her to another man. Samson grew angry, so he attached torches to the tails of 300 foxes, sending them running through the fields of the Philistines, burning all in their wake. The Philistines retaliated and burned Samson's wife and father-in-law to death. In revenge, Samson slew 1,000 Philistine men, only using the jawbone of a donkey. Later on, he fell in love with another Philistine woman called Delilah. The lord of the Philistines offered her to find out the secret of his great strength in return for silver. Eventually, Samson told Delilah that he would lose his strength if his hair was shaven. So Delilah made him sleep upon her knees and called for a servant to shave his head. And that's how Samson was captured by the Philistines. The Philistine leaders assembled in the temple for a religious sacrifice to Dagon, their god. They summoned Samson to entertain them. Meanwhile, Samson's hair already grown long again, so he toppled the 2 pillars holding up the temple, destroying it and killing himself and everyone inside. Israelites against Benjamites. At the end of the book of Judges, there is a story of how civil war broke between the Benjamites against the rest of the Israelites. It started with the Levite man who sojourned in the side of the Mount Ephraim with his concubine. The concubine was unfaithful to him, and went back for 4 months to her father's house in Bethlehem, Judah. He went to speak friendly after her. His father-in-law welcomed him. Then, on the 5th night, the man and his concubine departed and stayed overnight in Gibeah, a city of the tribe of Benjamin. An old man offered them accommodation at his house. Suddenly, some wicked men encompassed the house and demanded that the old man give his guests so they could know him. Know, in the biblical sense, meaning having sexual intercourse. The old man refused and offered them his own daughter and the man's concubine instead. But the wicked man refused until finally the Levite man delivered them his concubine, and they all raped her until the morning. The woman came back in the morning and fell dead in front of the old man's door. The Levite man cut the body of his concubine into 12 pieces and sent the pieces to all the coasts of Israel. All of Israel was shocked because something that evil had never happened since they came out of Egypt. All the tribes of Israel except for Benjamites gathered, wept, and asked God whether they should go against the Benjamites in a battle, and God told them to do so. Consequently, civil war broke out. At first, the Benjamites killed 18,000 of the children of Israel. Then all the children of Israel went to the house of God, wept, fasted, and burned peace offerings before God. Finally, the children of Israel defeated the Benjamites, burning their cities. In the slaughter, 25,000 Benjamites were slain, with only 600 survivors. Then the men of Israel vowed in Mizpeh, saying that no daughters of Israel may be wed to the tribe of Benjamin. But finally they decided to spare the lives of the surviving Benjamites. Now the 600 Benjamite survivors had lost all their wives and could not produce heirs. At the end of the day, the rest of the Israelites were grieved because they might lose one of their tribes. Since they have vowed not to give any daughters of Israel to become the wives of the Benjamites, they kidnapped foreign women to become their wives. Here is the end of the story of the judges of Israel. Kindly watch video number 10 to continue with the story of King David according to the Bible. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next week.